Welcome to episode 8 of ShootNLoot and Outriders podcast. I am your host, Outrider Kev, and to my physical front is my co-host, Rob the Man.
Hi.
If this is your first time, welcome as we delve deep into the news and everything that's ravaging Planet Enoch. You can find us here on youtube.com and follow us on various social media channels, but we will talk about that later. Let's dig into the latest news. Okay, so it's been a while since we recorded an episode of this show for Outriders. We covered E3, we talked about Loki, great moments in time. Super excited for a lot of the games that are coming on E3. We talked about Far Cry 6, Somerville, Replace, Redfall, and obviously Halo.
Halo.
Ever since then, I've been really excited for the future of video games, even for the future of Game Pass. But I've also been really excited about the changes that have been coming to Outriders right now. People Can Fly has really been communicating well about the things that they've been wanting to do with this game. The patch notes, the bugs, the legendary drop rates that I had mentioned, I think, in the E3 special. Yeah, I remember mentioning that they had come up with new updates about their fixes for the legendary system of, what type of weapons and exotics you're trying to get. Oh, sorry, not exotics. There's no exotics in the game.
Not exotics. That's Avengers.
Yeah, that's Avengers. Well, it's a lot of games, Destiny, things like that.
True.
But definitely the changes are coming to Outriders. And I know it's been a while, but I want to go over those major news that have been coming out. The biggest one being from January 22nd. But I did want to mention, I don't know if you knew this, Rob, but they did another appreciation pack.
Really? So I did not know that.
So you're getting, I don't know if you noticed, but you're going to get a second weapon, a second God Roll weapon.
When is this dropping?
I think it's dropping this week or next week with the next patch.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So you're going to get a second weapon along with the appreciation pack that you got the first time.
Great.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Well, let's get into it, man.
All right. These are the news from June 22nd. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Of course, you can always read the full news at the Outriders subreddit where, the developers have been posting their patch notes. We made some changes to the legendary drops. Legendary drop rates across the board are increased by 100%. Legendary level brackets have been removed so that legendary items can drop at any level. I didn't know this, but apparently this is what it means. Previously, some items could only drop from enemies of a certain level or above. For example, Ugake Cow could only drop from enemies of level 48 or higher. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I wasn't aware of that at all.
And again, in getting to level 48, I think that's CT 14 or 13. So apparently there are some legendaries that only drop when you reach a high enough enemy tier. Which, again, I didn't know if that was even possible.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. I thought that, let me see. So, previously some items could only drop from enemies of a certain level or above. For example, the Ugake Cow can only drop from enemies from level 48 or higher.
Because right now, we're about to hit CT10, which is level 45, right?
Yeah.
So 48 is 13. So okay. Apparently I didn't know this. Apparently there was legendaries that you can only drop at higher CT levels. And one, that makes sense. You want to reserve some of the better legendary sets or even better legendary weapons for, for the higher tiers, right? Otherwise, it would just feel bland going from CT1 to 15.
Yeah, I could see that. So, like, at CT1, you can get...
CT1 to 10, you get these legendaries. CT11 to 15,
so
you
now
get
you
these.
Now you can get... At CT1, you can get something from...
Exactly.
Whew.
It's across the board.
That's great.
So, and one, I didn't know there was a level bracket. And two...
I didn't either.
That's a great change. Yeah. So that means you can get any legendary at any CT level.
It's like they were holding back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Legendary anti-duplication system has been implemented. This system will mean that if a character has an item in their inventory or stash and a duplicate item is rolled, the drop item will be re-rolled once. Note that the system does not guarantee that every drop will be unique. Rather, it is designed to provide a second roll at avoiding a duplicate. And
that's fair.
That is fair. And if you don't know what that means, every time you get a legendary weapon, every time you get any type of weapons or even armor sets, it's always a roll. The random number generator is always going to give you a piece of item or a weapon, and it's always based on the numbers,
like
right?
Like a slot machine, right?
Like a slot machine. Yeah. Now, since if you already have a legendary item, or let's say, for example, I got the Implorer the other day, right? Mm-hmm. I already have an Implorer. The legendary is about to drop, or the game's about to calculate what I'm going to get, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, Kevin already has an Implorer. Let me re-roll it one more time. Now, if I get another Implorer, on my second roll, then that was just the
You're stuck with it.
I was stuck with it.
Yeah.
That was just the second roll. But if I get
Yeah.
something else, then that was great. That means I didn't get the same item twice.
But the stats could be different.
But the stats can be
Okay.
different or have different mods on them as well.
That's great too.
Exactly. So again, sometimes you might want to get the same legendary as well because you may have a legendary now that maybe you don't like the mods or you don't like the stats that's on it. Like for example,
Yeah.
I have one of my boots for the lich, for the lava lich set, right?
Yeah.
It has long range damage. I wouldn't mind another set of boots. Instead of long range damage, it has close range damage. You know what I'm saying? That would give me a better boost for my skills because I'm always, as a pyromancer, I'm always in close to mid range. I'm never really
Right.
fighting out at a long range.
Yeah.
That's always better set for snipers.
As a trickster, I feel like I'm always up close, like
Right.
just always just right there. Like half the time I'm using melee. You know what I mean? Melee or my blade. Do you think that's a sound approach from a trickster, or do you think staying back is the way?
No, definitely. If you're a trickster, devastator, you have to be because one, your healing mechanic is 100% based on that. You heal based on your close range kills, which again makes 100%
Yeah.
sense. I heal based on my burn. So as the amount of enemies that have burning or have the burn status effect, that's how I heal.
Okay.
I forgot how the Technomancer heals. I think he just has to kill.
For me, I for a trickster, I think your bullets.
Mhm.
You have life leech on the bullets.
Well, everyone
And-
has life leech.
Okay.
We all have life leech.
But then there's also a shield generator.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like my shield is like in the hundreds of thousands sometimes.
Definitely. Well, either way, I'm glad they increased the drop rates. We have the ability to get legendaries that are only available above CT 13. So now
Yeah.
it can drop at our levels that we're still working on, CT 7 to 8. That's where we're at right now. So that means
Yeah.
we can even get legendaries from those level brackets. Again, from the higher level brackets to the lower level brackets. So again, which
Okay.
just means that we have more items that we can go through as well.
Mhm.
And now we have a second roll to not get a duplicate. So if you get a duplicate, it will roll it one more. It will roll it one more time. If you get another duplicate, then guess
Yeah.
what? That was the roll. Like
That's the roll.
that was the odds against you,
Yeah.
unless you wanted the duplicate.
Yeah.
Scripted boss loot, Crystalloid or Yagak are now able to drop all non-class specific legendary helmets. What happened before is that those bosses would drop specific helmets or specific legendaries. Now they can drop anything.
Okay.
So
and Yagak is in the expedition.
I think you can refight Yagak in the regular story more and farm him because I know some bosses do have legendaries tied to them. So if you go back to the story point, you can keep re-rolling, keep finding that boss, and wait till their legendary drops.
Okay.
And which is a similar system similar to Borderlands. Borderlands, the way that they work, not only can you get legendaries from regular enemies, not only can you get legendaries from opening chests, there are bosses that you can farm. That's what they call it. You call them farming, and you'll go ahead and kill that boss multiple times. Maybe you might have to kill it 20 times that day, 100 times, and eventually you'll be able to get whatever legend that's tied to that boss.
To that specific boss.
Exactly, because sometimes bosses will drop random legendaries or part of the bigger legendary pool, and then they'll have like the one or two items that you can only get them from him or for her.
Okay.
Which is, again, it's not too bad. It's a thing that happens in RPGs. I didn't know that this game had it, so I think I'm gonna start looking up online like which bosses have the pieces that I need, or you know what I'm saying. Maybe there's some pieces that we can farm that we don't need to have the CT runs for,
Yeah.
or things like that. Because I know for the doing the hunts, you know, you get a legendary weapon
for that, and for the assassinations.
in the assassinations. You get the armor pieces. And let's see. This change will improve the variety of items in the campaign. Previously, these bosses would only drop a selection of legendaries, the same pool that was available in the demo, as well as the cannonball helmet. Fuck the cannonball.
Fuck the cannonball chest piece, man.
The luck system has been improved, and players should no longer experience very long drops without a legendary item dropped during the end game. The base scaling of legendaries will drop through higher difficulty levels still apply, so you may still want to farm as high as possible. What that means is that if they see you that you're running the same CT over and over, they're eventually going to give you a legendary at some point. Of course, if you increase your CT, because again, every time you increase your CT, you're going to get a higher chance of your percentage goes up, and that's going to help you. Yeah. Again, they're making a lot of these changes that make sense to. They want to give you the weapons, they want to give you the items to be able to tackle the harder things and the harder
to keep
CTs.
You playing.
Exactly.
That's essentially why we stopped playing, is because we weren't getting legendary drops, and the legendary drops we were getting weren't conducive to our builds.
or hasn't completed our builds, because I'm still
Didn't
waiting.
complete. Yeah.
I have 2 sets of the Asari set. I have two.
Mhm.
Sorry, I have 2 armor pieces of the Asari set, and I have 2 armor pieces of the Lava Lich set. I just need one
Mhm.
more of either one
Of
to
either
make
one.
a build.
I have 2 for something, but I don't remember exactly which one it was. But I have 2 of one set, and just my pants are out of my level, so I can't equip them yet.
Until we beat CT10, then we can equip it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But either way, I like that they're making these changes. Of course, like you mentioned, it's to keep us playing, keep engaging with the game, keep working on our CT runs. And even last night when you and me were running those CTs again,
Yeah,
we were getting some great times. Sometimes we did have to like not fuck up, but like
we
we
cut it
did
close a couple
we
times.
exactly cut it close, or we had to refine our strategy to try to run it as fast as we could,
Right.
because we weren't getting the goal. We were barely missing the goal, and then eventually we got the goal when we ran it like a second or third time.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think of these legendary drop changes that they're adding to the game?
I think it's the way they had to go because if I'm sure that you know, just being honest, the frustration we felt from not getting these legendary drops. I mean, it was drop pod after drop pod of blue and purple.
Hmm.
And for me, that was part of the thanklessness of why I just was like, okay, I'm not getting shit. You know what I mean? So now that they're addressing that, then now we know it's not just us. It wasn't just us that weren't getting the drops. It was something in the programming, So the fact that they fixed it, great. Now I'm back. Now I want to get the legendary stuff. Now I want
Right.
to keep playing.
Definitely, definitely.
You
And
know?
we want to be able to engage the fan base. You want to make sure that they're
Yeah.
happy and keep playing the game, because
Yeah.
again, this isn't a live service game. Again, it's live service, but in the name, right?
Hmm.
They're not mentioning what's down the road 2 3 months from now.
Hmm.
This is a complete package. So you got to give the players what they want, especially if they want to hit that end game grind. Because some
Right.
people love that grind, some people don't, and I totally understand if, let's
Yeah.
say, you're at the level of the Outriders end game right now, and you feel like you're not getting your enjoyment, then these changes will help you enjoy it a little bit further.
Yeah.
And the
Definitely.
fact that you even can get some of these higher legendaries that are only available above CT13 or whatever,
Hmm.
right? At CT1, I think that's a great change,
Yeah.
because you can get something that could dramatically get you up to 2 to 3 CTs if it's a strong enough piece.
Yeah, and it'll alter your build, significantly as you go through those expeditions.
Definitely. There's also been some general patch notes after sorry, not January,
Mhm.
after June 22nd. Um, for consoles, they added extra options and settings for controller customization, including dead zone, look sensitivity, acceleration, and legacy layouts. What that
Mhm.
means is that you have just more controls on how you want your controller to feel like.
Right.
Because again, dead zones on the thumbsticks, faster aiming, things like that, and you also changing the layout of your controller.
Okay.
On Xbox, there's been improved sign-in times, which I have noticed. Because even with my Series
I
X,
did notice the quicker sensitivity, the
yeah.
quicker to look sensitivity. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying that on Xbox they've improved the sign-in time, so I think I have noticed, because
Yeah,
I have a Series X. It loads the game fine. It's that initial sign-in when you start the game, when you're at the
that takes a
Outriders
minute.
logo. It always takes a minute,
Yeah,
and I've noticed that it has improved. I don't know if you noticed on the Xbox One, but have you noticed the sign-in
I
improvement?
have. I have. It's not dramatic, but it's enough.
Okay,
It's enough to notice where it's like, okay, it's not taking as long as it did, in the first month.
definitely.
Yeah.
And again, that's always great. We want to make sure we can get into the game faster.
Right.
Epic Store version fixed an issue that was preventing the pre-order of Hell Ranger gear from unlocking as intended, and made improvements to the multiplayer connectivity. Earthborn geared Hell Rangers DLC equipment can now be scrapped. Fixed an issue that was causing old inventory items to be marked as new, which again was annoying, because every time you went back to your items, like, it would mark some of your old items as new. So you didn't know if what you just got.
Tell me about this Hell's Ranger DLC. What is this?
This is if you pre-order the game, you would get those extra pieces. Do you
Oh,
remember there was a pre-order bonus at the beginning?
I don't. I
Well,
don't
we
remember
didn't
that.
buy the game because we got it through Game
You
Pass. But
got it
if
through
you
Game
had
Pass.
bought in the full version, you were gonna get some pieces of gear.
That's cool.
Just early stuff, not
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
would be like too game breaking.
Okay.
It's just something that give you a little bit of a boost in the beginning.
When you start playing it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Um, Fix an issue again. They fixed the issue where like the items in your inventory would show up as new.
Hmm.
So it would sometimes. I did notice that change, because before it would mark everything as new. So you didn't know
All the
what
time.
you didn't know what you just got. You
Yeah.
had to always search through it.
Yeah.
And since there's no way to mark items, and there's no way to have even loadouts in the game, it always made it a little confusing of what did I just get? You know?
Right, right. I accidentally got rid of an epic shotgun because of that. I thought it was new and it was my old one, and I just deleted it. And I thought that I had my old one in my weapons cache or
Right.
cache, So I'm happy that happened.
Definitely, because
Yeah,
again, super confusing. We want to make sure that we're not
that was
deleting stuff
yeah.
that we don't.
It was just confusing. Such an easy fix too. It's just such a mundane bug, but it was annoying.
It always makes you appreciate, in a way, like again, Outriders, Marvel's Avengers, things like that, right? Destiny, Halo. There's always these small things that, on the grand scheme of things, doesn't seem like it matters, and they're always quality of life improvements, right?
Mm-hmm.
You always want to make sure that one is the game is running smoothly, but it's these small changes that add to the experience because
Yeah,
not having to worry about it is a great, it's a great
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Now, some people will argue like you shouldn't have to worry about it at all if the game came out in a complete state.
Right, right.
But come on, at
That's
this
not the
point,
reality we're in.
that's not the reality. That's not
Yeah,
the game world we live in anymore.
yeah,
I mean, I still can count on Nintendo to still make great single player games. But again, those are single players. This is an Outrider. This is a multiplayer server based game.
yeah.
Like our save files are not being saved on on our Xboxes. It's being saved on their
On
servers.
their servers.
So again, these are issues that they have to fix on their back end. But of course, I'm glad that they're addressing it and that they're still working on getting these bugs fixed.
Absolutely, man.
Fixed an issue, a bug that prevented players from running if they were stunned while using the Trickster's Cyclone skill. Do you ever have that bug where you
Mm,
weren't able to run after using the Cyclone skill?
yeah,
Right, that
yeah,
was
all the
happening.
time.
And it regularly fixed a bug that allowed a combination of two closely timed attacks to result in a visual one-hit kill on players from Alpha Perforos and Beacon Mod slash Broodmother. So
Oh, that was great.
I guess like they would both jump at you. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what they mean by here, but it seems like to me that there was a bug, uh, where they
That
would hit you both at the same time, and it looked like it was a one hit kill
yeah,
from one of them, right?
yeah.
But it actually you got hit twice.
Okay.
I think that's what they meant by that. Fix a bug that caused the scrap grenade projectile to be blocked by dead enemies. Now, scrap grenade is the Technomancer one, where he throws like a little mine.
Okay.
So I guess dead enemies will block it. That sucks.
That's hilarious.
Fix the bug that caused the Feed the Flames Ash effect to not trigger properly in multiplayer. And I noticed this because Feed the Flame is an ability that I was using with my Ash build, a couple days ago, right?
Hmm.
And I used that, Feed the Flames to, one, it gives me 35% more weapon damage every time I use it. And it freezes two enemies, with Ash, because Ash is my freezing ability,
It's
right?
kind of the way you stop them. Yeah.
It's the way I stopped them, and it wasn't triggering properly sometimes when we were playing. Like it wouldn't freeze
Right.
them, and sometimes it won't freeze them if it won't stop them if they had already had Ash before. But I meant for new enemies. Sometimes I would use it and it wouldn't stop them, but
Okay.
I would still get the effect though. I would still get the increased damage.
So that brings me to another question. If an enemy already was affected by ash and you do it again, does it reset the ash or they're
No,
immune to that ash?
they're immune to the Ash for like a
Okay.
little bit. Like if
Okay.
you have to give it a couple more seconds, but since we're killing so fast,
Yeah.
it might as well not even hit
It's
them.
inconsequential.
It's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like that initial wave of, like, let's say if I did my eruption skill with the Pompeii modifier,
Yeah.
where the eruption has the ash ability on it.
That's the volcano, right?
That's the volcano one, and I have the ash mod on it. Then it will freeze all those people in that volcano area,
Yeah, yeah.
which again always helped. Fix the bug that caused weapon mod Ravenous Locust to not deal damage if used together with Weightlessness mod. That's good. You want to make sure that mods
Mm.
work together properly. Mitigated an issue whereby players could get stuck in an animation after using gravity jump in multiplayer. I think this happened to Jay a lot, right? He would get stuck
Uh,
looking like he's pounding on the ground while we were running around
yeah,
killing stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Let me see. Mitigation. Yeah.
Right? Because I know he has a gravity jump, and that definitely sounds like something we've seen
Or he
before.
would jump and he would get stuck in the jump position, but he's
Right.
just sliding across
Exactly.
the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's kind of crazy that they barely got to that bug now, but hey, they
That
they
was
fixed
since
it.
day one.
That
Yeah.
was from day one, exactly. And more crash fixes. Rob, did you want to go ahead and go over the news from July 1st?
Sure, sure. So for July 1st, we have some balancing. We're currently looking to buff a few skills for all four classes. Some of these changes will require bespoke code work, Bespoke code work, though, as the changes are not just to their numbers, but also to the way they function. To that end, we will likely roll these balancing changes into one of our upcoming patches. We're aiming to buff each class in unison and are avoiding split buffing, which is why we need a bit more time to bundle these changes collectively for a pass.
which is great.
For a patch, so that way you're not getting a trickster patched or
Yeah,
or a technomancer patched, and then the other ones are still overpowered or still
or
bugged out.
underpowered.
Yeah, so that way the entire player base can get their characters fixed.
Yeah, and I like how they're still buffing underused skills again because you want to make sure that every skill you have is a viable option. Like it sucks that you can't use your time bubble because you feel like it's not enough damage. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
Or
right.
you want to make sure that if you invest in that skill, that you get the return for investing in that skill.
That's worth it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, it's great that we just had a buff patch a couple weeks ago
With the appreciation pack.
with the
Right?
appreciation
Yeah, that
pack,
was something that
exactly,
came out there.
where they had buffed a bunch of these abilities already, and now they're still working on more buffs for us, or at least changes to the abilities to make them more viable.
Right.
Because I have been finding that some of my skills, like the phase laser, just isn't worth it for me when I have everything else that's available. And I love the phase laser because that's my Kamehameha
Yeah.
for my Pyromancer. But in the end game, it doesn't really help me. It's too slow. There's a wind up. You have to let it charge and then shoot it.
Ah,
And you know how the CTs are. You have to keep it
you have to
constant killing.
move.
Stopping to do something isn't what I want to do. So hopefully they'll
Right.
buff it or change it in a way where maybe it has so much damage that I will stop to use it. You know what I'm saying?
I see. I feel the same way with my cyclone slice
Hmm.
in the game, during the game, in the campaign. It was my main one. Like, I used it everywhere. I'd throw my bubble down and just start spinning. In the CTs, I haven't used it once.
Right.
In the expeditions, I haven't used it once. It's just not conducive. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of, but it's just not fast enough. I get stuck in it. You
Right.
know, and I just wasn't getting the results I wanted from that. But let's check out this next part. So our next patch requires a little bit more time for us to ensure its stability, especially following the past week's successful patch. We are in the testing phase currently, and we'll have more information to share on this soon. Thank you for your patience on this, with an exclamation point, so they mean it.
Yeah. So that means that they're working on the next patch. It's still not ready. Again, great communication. Like last time, just letting you know, hey,
Yeah.
we're working on stuff. Making sure that everything like it doesn't break as soon as this
Right,
patch comes
right.
out. I'm like another game where Avengers. I hate to shit on Avengers all the time,
Yeah.
but Avengers' last patch for the Cosmic Cube event was showing people's IP addresses on the PS5, meaning people who are streamers
Ooh.
could get doxxed by malicious people.
Jeez, how was it doing that?
I'm not. I mean, obviously, I don't know in the back,
Yeah.
but it would show it in the corner your IP address for your home. So if
Wow.
people can get that IP address and then just suddenly bombard your
Mhm.
internet provider and then knock you off the internet.
Wow, that's insane.
So again, I'm glad that People Can Fly is actually taking their time to make these patches and not be like so. Nah, I'm pretty sure Crystal Dynamics is doing their best, but
Hmm.
these news and these things that happen to the game isn't helping its image at all, especially
No.
since the position they've been since September of last year.
Yeah, they've been playing catch up since they came out. They're not doing bad, but they have been playing catch up.
And but they're still the punching bag. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying of
yeah.
the industry.
Of 2020.
They're like this. I mean, other than Cyberpunk, what other game do you hear
Yeah,
people talk so much shit about?
yeah.
You know,
It's just those two.
those two. Yeah.
All right, so we got a list of known issues, and so no, this is not an exhaustive list of things being worked upon. This is also not a list of patch notes for the next patch. Upcoming patches will address issues that may not be listed here.
So it's
No,
just letting you know that again, these are the bugs that
this is just what they're aware of.
they're aware of
Hmm.
exactly that they may get to. The next patch may help with some of these, but
Yeah,
not all of them.
they're just aware of it. It's on the list. Be patient.
Exactly.
Note 2. Investigated means that we have been able to successfully reproduce an issue on our dev environment and are currently looking at the root cause of said issue. If we have not yet been able to reproduce a specific issue, it may not be listed here, but that doesn't mean we're unaware of it. Xbox problems related to signing in. This is one of our top priorities and something we are continuing to investigate. Certain mods not working. In particular, when you are the client during multiplayer session, I'm sorry, let me read that again. Certain mods not working in particular when you're the client working during multiplayer sessions. Issue under review following multiplayer improvements. Scrap grenade mod may stop working after cutscenes. Issue currently being investigated. Players dying while a shield is active. Story of my life. Issue currently being investigated. Rather than shield not properly mitigating damage, this issue may be caused by either the UI not catching up properly, or it may be a case of certain shield mods continuing to proc their shield after death has occurred under certain edge cases. For example, a player continually generates shield and their death prevention mechanics are already on cooldown. They are then hit by enemy damage waves that depletes both shield and health at a greater, faster rate than the shield can regenerate in that window, leading to cases of player HP reaching zero for a split second before another chunk of shield is added.
So like they would get, like you kind of, you mentioned, you would get damage, but instead of your shields working properly and mitigating damage, because you have shield regeneration that's coming through, right? It like, let's say if you got 20 points of damage and your shields regenerate at 15, it should block that 15, but it didn't reach fast enough, so it just hit straight to your HP.
Oh, okay,
to your health.
Okay. Trickster's Hunt the Prey does not turn player towards an enemy's back if aiming down sights immediately after activation. I gotta read that again. Trickster's Hunt the Prey does not turn player towards an enemy's back if aiming down sights immediately after activation.
So what I would assume, that as soon as you do Hunt the Prey, you know how you show up behind them, and if you aim down sight, you would turn the other way. I can only assume. I don't know if you ever had that happen to you.
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
I'd have to physically flip around.
Oh dang, that's terrible. Then that makes Hunt the Prey almost useless, because if you can't go behind them and shoot them right in the back, and you have to turn around, you're wasting precious seconds.
I made it work, but I haven't used Hunt the Prey since we got to the end game.
I wouldn't blame you after reading this. I know you were facing these bugs.
Yeah. I thought it was just the way it was. I just chalked it up to all right.
No, that was not intended.
Oh man. It was annoying, but I just worked through it. Issue being currently being investigated. Trickster's Venator's knife may target a wrong enemy. That still happens.
That still happens. I see videos on YouTube about that, where they'll throw it at this captain and it just goes to someone else.
It seems like it goes to the guy closest to you.
But it's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to.
You're supposed to hit at the guy who you're aiming at.
My reticle is on the guy
that
I want to get, and then it gets the guy to my left or the right. Yeah, no, I totally feel that.
There's so many like YouTube videos or just GIFs on the subreddit where like they're trying to throw the knife and it just doesn't go.
It just doesn't go. So what else is the Devastator's gravity leap mod may apply status effect inconsistently.
Working on it.
Devastator skill may have inconsistent damage output, particularly when using bleed and moaning wind combos.
Meaning that whenever you're using your skills, some of these mods are not working, because I think for Devastator, if your brother was here, he could speak more on it, but I remember him saying that for Devastator, it's about bleed effects. Okay. I have burn effects, you have slow effects, Devastator's about bleed effects, and apparently some of the mods are not working in conjunction with this other mod called Moaning Winds. I'm not sure which mod that is, but yeah, they're having issues with that.
So the Devastator statue set bonus may end after 8 seconds, which is not stated in the description.
So like it's doing that effect, but it's not telling you that
it's
it
ending
ends
sooner than what the effect claims.
Or it may end longer, and it's not saying it on the actual game itself.
Oh, I see.
That's just the bugs, meaning that it's not relaying the correct information.
Another issue currently being investigated and will be resolved in a future patch. The Technomancer's Borealis set bonus may not apply properly.
So they have a legendary set that's just not working on. When you get the set ability, when you get the 3-piece, they'll give you like that beneficial.
It's not activating.
It's not activating.
That's pointless. Issue currently being investigated and will be resolved in a future patch. Devastator's Blood Donation class node may not work without any skill life leech stats boost from other gear or nodes.
So like Blood Donation, I'm assuming it's some type of healing, and it's not working if you're in conjunction with your class abilities or even your gear mods.
Yeah, that's something that I understand. If there's certain mods and stuff like that don't work with your build, and
especially because
there's your class,
there's so many hundreds of different combinations you can have.
But they should blot it out. Like if you're not able to use it, they can start by just blotting it out and make it unaccessible.
Yeah.
If it's with a known mod that it doesn't work with,
or like they know this combination doesn't work,
blot one out,
block it out, so that way they can't work in conjunction, but it will work with this other mod.
And then they can go fix that. But in the meantime, you don't have these useless mods. You know what I mean? So the next issue is, or I think it's
journal entries.
Journal entries pickups may not appear on secondary characters.
So like when you're playing another character, you're picking up, all the stuff on the world. Apparently, it doesn't show up for secondary characters.
Yeah.
You would have to pick them up on your first character.
Oh God. Uh, let's see. Another issue being reinvestigated. Damage block stat on expedition. Result screens occasionally appear inconsistently or abnormally low. Can you elaborate on that?
That one, it's just saying like the damage that you're blocking, or like let's say if you have a defensive skill like armor, shield, whatever,
Mhm.
it's just not showing correctly on the end game screen. You know, whenever we finish a CT, it shows you the
The
numbers.
breakdown.
It's just not showing the correct numbers for damage blocked.
Oh, that's a weird bug.
Yeah,
Dismantled may not show proper preview. Issue currently being invested. This is a purely a visual bug. Dismantling still provides the appropriate mods.
it's just saying that when you're dismantled, it doesn't show you that it
I
dismantled it.
see.
It just goes away.
Broodmother's AOE surge attacks VFX are very hard to see.
That's
That's
the
a
one. That's the one. I think it's the one where she makes like a little like area, like a
hmm
puddle, and there's supposed to be like all this like bubbling like
yeah,
energy
the blue
and some
shit,
the blue shit
like blue
exactly.
flame kind of.
And it doesn't show up properly sometimes because sometimes it is confusing because I'm like, what the hell's hitting me?
What happens is that the warning area, you know how they tell you when the bosses or the captains or like there's a warning area on the ground that highlights red, right?
Yeah,
So what I noticed that happens with the broodmother is that area. It might be that attack because it's the one where she charges you and then the floor, um, not the one where she charges you, but where the floor catches. Right.
right,
What happens is the affected area gets covered by the texture of the floor. So if
right.
there's any polygons that are lifting off the floor,
Like the environment
the
itself, it's gonna
environment
cover
itself,
it.
it's on the base of it's on the foundation of the stage of whatever it is you're on.
Right.
You can see it. Sometimes I can see it, but it's obstructed by whatever's on top of it, you know? I can only see it if there's no obstruction, you know? So it makes it really difficult to dodge because I don't know if I'm supposed to dodge left, right, front, or back. You know what I mean? Just because I can't see it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that they are aware of that bug. Hopefully, they can fix it because it is one of the harder attacks that you can't see if it's working
And
properly.
it gets you every time.
And it gets you every time because even the crawlers whenever they're not their ice beam but if you notice when the crawlers shoot like little like energy like waves to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you see those pretty clearly. Those
Yeah.
come out you can block not block those out, you can dodge those pretty easily.
Or those big birds, like when they're gonna attack you or they're gonna throw their feathers at you, you could clearly see those on the ground. You could
Exactly,
clearly see the
or see
affected
the
area.
animation too.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
I
yeah,
mean, like the area of damage, it's so visible on the ground. With the brood mother, I could totally understand where that's difficult to see because
right.
that's an attack that gets me almost every time.
Well, I'm glad that they are working on it, that they are
Absolutely.
again they are known of the issue. Hopefully they can get it addressed
Yeah.
and we'll get a better game for it and be able to run those CTs better.
Yeah, man. Get to CT 15 already, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, man.
Like we're hitting up to CT10, but
Yeah.
we're just trying to farm at a CT level where we're comfortable and getting those gold, those gold
So
runs
we can get
consistently.
to, yeah.
Because I feel like you and me are just like maybe one or two legendaries away to be able to break that wall.
Right.
Because once we
Right.
start getting those legendary sets rolling in, getting those boosted set pieces, that's when we're going to start breaking into those CT10s to 15.
There was definitely a plateau on the builds, but
Yeah.
now that all this stuff is being mitigated and addressed as far as the legendary drops,
Higher legendary drops, no a roll to not get the same legendary, so that will get us hopefully our sets better and faster.
and that's another thing where you grind and you grind and you grind, and then you get the same thing that you
Right.
just got. That's
Goddamn fucking cannonball! What's up with all these fucking
you
cannonballs?
take that cannonball and throw that shit away.
But hopefully, as we're working through our expeditions, we don't have to keep getting these cannonball sets or anything like that. Hopefully, we can
Yeah.
get something that's useful. We're gonna keep on grinding. Hopefully, be able to get past CT. Again, we're like at CT9. Like that's what we completed. We're hitting knocking on CT10. We just want to keep grinding CT7 and 8 so we can get those legendary drops at least more consistently, and hopefully be able to grind higher CTs so we can get even more legendary drops and be able to fill out our build better.
Yeah, just get those builds so we could keep moving.
Right.
Keep moving.
And speaking of moving, I know for us, we're still working on Outriders and getting our builds back up. We haven't made a second character, or at least I haven't gotten a second character to
Yeah.
CT because I really, really want to get my Pyromancer to that level to CT15 before I roll another character, or at least keep going with another character. I don't know if you feel the same.
I absolutely feel the same. I feel like I'm like if I don't build up my trickster, it's like what it's not ready to move on. You know what I mean? Like I want to finish the CTs, get a build that's like, okay, this is my god build for this
Right.
trickster, and then I can move on and replay the game. But if I'm being 100% honest, playing the campaign has kind of been a bug up my ass in the last couple of
Hmm.
Last couple of times we've talked, it's like I like the campaign.
The campaign's really fun.
Yeah, and if we could play it without all the bugs that were there initially, I'm sure it's
Right.
going to be a smoother run. It's going to be a lot tighter, a lot better. I'm looking forward to that.
Especially on our second characters. Like once because we have to run through them through the campaign as well, so we can get to
Right,
those high levels as
right.
well.
That's what I mean when we get back to when we switch characters and start doing it again. I can't wait for that. That
Can't wait
sounds
for
great.
that. But one thing I did want to talk about, at least talking about getting running grinds, running through different characters. We've been playing a lot of Marvel's Avengers recently because of the Red Room event. Last week, or I think it's still going on right now. The
I think
Cosmic
so.
Cube event came out as well. Let's talk about a little bit of Avengers, man. We
Yeah,
haven't been
man.
really talking about it. We've been talking a lot of shit, but
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about some of the good stuff that they've been doing.
It's Stockholm syndrome is real. It's a real thing, and I'm a sucker for cosmetic skins. I'm a sucker for new villain sectors like that. Gets like Maestro. We have Maestro and Monica.
Consistently now,
Yeah, yeah. It's
when
not just Taskmaster
yeah,
and
Abomination,
Abomination. Which side note, Abomination and Shang-Chi has me kind of excited.
right? What is Wong doing there? What happened?
I
How
don't
did they
know.
get to this?
I don't know, but the fact that we're getting a movie where Wong is fighting Abomination, that's kind of dope. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's kind of awesome. It seems like something that you'd get like a throwaway scene in a comic book. That's where a conversation happens,
Yeah,
and
comics used
Wong,
to do all that.
yeah, it's just
Used to do that all the time, like throwing just random characters
yeah,
that were living their lives and they just happen
yeah.
to show up in
It
this
just
comic book
happened to
line.
be there because the artist wanted to draw them or something.
Right.
I love that. I love that. It helps. It helps connect the world, and it's really nice. Um,
But in Marvel's Avengers, they've been tying in more events. They've actually been, unlike Outriders that pretends to be a live service game, Marvel's Avengers is a live service game. And they're
yeah,
every a couple months they're doing something. We just finished, I think in the beginning of April, it was the Tachyon event
Tachyon event.
where
Yeah.
you can play as more than one of the same character. Now they're making
Hmm.
that change permanent. So you can play multiple Iron Mans if you want. It's a permanent change. It's no
Yeah.
longer just an event.
That's
If
great.
if you and me want to run the same Captain America and have our AI companions with us, we can definitely do that now. Oh,
That's awesome.
that's gonna be in the next patch.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Red Room event? Did you like that event? Because I'll be honest, let me just go first on this one.
Sure. Sure.
I thought the Red Room event was actually pretty fun. Not a lot to do. Like once you beat it in like about a night or two,
Hmm.
then the rest of the week you didn't really have much to do either, right? I thought
Yeah.
the event would look really cool. I love
Yeah.
what they did with the harm room. I love the pulsating of the red energy waves that were happening in those
Yeah.
rooms.
Yeah.
I like the different room setups. I thought it was a good event. I just feel like they could have done more with it instead of just having to run those events over and over with the same characters or with different characters just to get the nameplate. I feel like it was a good first step for something. For something to do that week.
You're right on that. You're right on that. I feel like it was, I think I died twice in the lava,
Right.
and then I put it down. I was just like, yeah, this game.
See,
I'm
when-
not gonna grind at this game. I already done that,
Right.
But I could see, I my issue with it was I thought that it was an opportunity to be a little bit more Black Widow centric, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity where we should have gotten more Black Widow in that,
Like story beats.
so story beat, context, something. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Something. But we just got these goofy skins and these goofy, situations, and it was good. It was fun, but it just wasn't what I thought it was. What I thought it like. It just I wasn't into it.
Right. Right.
The Cosmic Cube event was different.
The Cosmic Cube event was different. Sorry, not to get off of the Red Room event real quick. I liked the Red Room event because it made me play a little bit different, or made me play those characters a little bit different. Because you're right, you can easily die in the Red Rooms.
Mhm.
As soon as you touch the lava, right, the floor is lava
Yeah.
scenario, you definitely get one shotted. But
Right.
it made me play a little bit differently, and made me realize which abilities the characters have more knockback or pushes enemies away. You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And which abilities were dangerous to use. Like, okay, don't do this move with Captain America. That's gonna push him into the floor.
Right.
Things like
right.
that. I thought that was fun. But like you mentioned, the Cosmic Cube event, I think that is where you're starting to see some of the shine and some of the implementations. I think of what the Avengers can be.
Yeah. The Cosmic Cube was very unique within the Avengers. even the Maestro sectors, but that fight with Monica,
Definitely.
with Scientist Supreme, it was like, okay, this is showing potential.
Right.
And it's been a minute. Like, we got the Kate Bishop DLC, we got the Hawkeye DLC. It was fun. The Hawkeye took me a while. Like, I had to put it down for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I picked it up again and finished it. But the Kate Bishop, I played it straight through because she's just really fun to play with.
Right.
But um, but this Cosmic Cube event really got me. I was like, okay, okay, I think we're back.
Yeah, definitely. It was way more fun. I like that this villain sector just felt so different
Hmm.
compared to the other ones. And the Maestro one's cool too. Like, it has an arena fight, but Maestro's cool. The lead up to that villain sector is great because you're fighting through the wasteland and then getting to the villain sector
Right.
that had 3 loading screens for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
That was weird, but the fight with Monica, with the way that the walls were shifting and you
Yeah.
having to dodge and you have to be behind this and then have this damage buff by defeating all the Monica, it just had so many things going for it that we hadn't seen in that game. And I think that is what I think Marvel can, like I mentioned, this is what Marvel can be. And I wish that they keep going down this road. Give us more of this. Give us more intricate boss fights that gives us abilities to test not only our characters but also awareness of awareness of the environment. Because if you're not paying attention, you're not going to beat that villain sector. If you're not paying attention to the buff that's being applied, if you're not paying attention to the wipe that's going to happen,
Right.
if you're not doing enough damage to her.
Having a living, breathing environment and changed it a lot
Right.
because you're there. You can get sucked into the pit. You can get blasted. You have to hide behind the pillars. There was so much to it that reminded me of some of the best parts of the campaign.
Right.
There's some of the parts of the campaign that stood out.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's on the right track. It's slow as all hell.
Yeah.
But I think with an IP like that, I'm not sure they have anything to worry about. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to get canceled or like anthemed. You know what I mean? But I hope they get it together because there are parts of the game that can be good.
There's lots of good to the game.
Yeah.
Just I don't think it's an Anthem situation like I have mentioned before.
Mhm.
This doesn't feel fundamentally broken from the
Yeah.
core. It has a good core. It's just how do you build that core up now?
Right.
And again, Monica, the Future Imperfect storyline, taking aim. These are good steps that eventually, when players come back, they're gonna be like, oh wow, they have all this now, and the mega hives aren't so hard to beat anymore. It's not 8 different times you have to go into there. No, it's only 4 times now, which is again great. And they're gonna make a multiplayer. They had mentioned that in the previous developer update that they're gonna make mega hives multiplayer, which again made no sense that you could do regular hives and elite hives multiplayer, but the mega hives you had to do it by yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, very. I would understand if you do the first hive by yourself to introduce you to a hive, do the elite hives and the mega hives with people because they're harder.
Yeah, that I think it's I really hope the game gets it together because if they don't get it together, then we're not going to get Vision, we're not going to get Doctor Strange, we're not going to get Ant-Man.
I don't want to see this game cut short before it reaches its full potential.
I want the roster. When I see the roster at the menu screen, there's so much empty space, man, and it's like I want to get to where they're going. You know what I mean? So having these changes where you can have multiples of one character, where you could run the mega hives with friends, where you could, it's gonna add to the playability. It's gonna reduce some of the frustration that actually repels players, that actually gets players to put it down. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the way you get players to put a game down is by frustrating them.
Yeah.
Non-rewarding, just punishing grinds. That's what gets people to not play.
I feel like there's always such a weird dynamic when it comes to games like this, especially live service games, because recently Halo and Halo Infinite have mentioned that their multiplayer battle passes are not going to have an expiration date, right? You can come back, take a break, still be able to earn all those rewards if you want to, right?
And they're still going to be live.
It's such a weird balance, though, because even they have mentioned they don't want you to feel like this is a second job. To have to play this game every day to keep up, right?
Yeah.
And again, like you said, it's a weird balance where like you want people to play this game, but a lot of us don't want it to be a chore either. Where
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
suddenly you have to be invested.
Having the time limits on those events definitely makes it feel like a chore in some regard. Maybe not all the time, but let's say you have a weekend plans or
Yeah,
something, and that's the weekend that the event goes live.
exactly.
You
And then
know, and
you
it's
have
like,
FOMO. You missed out on that
yeah,
name tag or whatever thing they did that week.
yeah, and
Which
that it's like you're punishing players for having a live, and it's like, come on, don't do
yeah,
that. You know.
which again, it's great for players that have time. But what about those gamers that don't have time or don't want to put that much investment
Yeah,
into
or
it?
someone who plays it every day, and then
Yeah,
they miss that weekend, and then
exactly.
they don't get the perk.
And again, that's great that we live in an age we have so many options and entertainment options. When before I remember there was a time where like there was one game I played that entire summer and that
Yeah,
was it. And
yeah.
and I beat it like in the first 3 days of it, of
Nice.
that summer. I had to like, well, damn, I'm stuck with this game that I bought that I thought was gonna last me all summer, and I beat it like within the first couple of days of my
Yeah,
summer. And but again, I still love that they're still supporting the game. They have a very clear roadmap of what they want to do, and we have Battle for Wakanda coming out soon. So I'm really excited what
yeah,
that introduces to the game. And again, if it's anything like what we've seen with Future Imperfect, if there's anything we've seen with the new Monica villain sector, these are good signs. I think we're
yeah.
heading into the right trajectory for it.
Right.
Now that they have the game more smoother, less buggy, and give the players more options, such as playing as any character, like no limit, play whoever you want to be.
Do you think that has to do with like a lot of COVID restrictions being lifted? Do you think the fact that we have some restrictions being lifted is contributing to them being able to spend more and more time on the game, especially as Battle for Wakanda
Yeah,
approaches?
I definitely do believe that with COVID, not COVID disappearing, but COVID dying down, being on the downturn now, especially
Yeah.
where we were a year from now. It's definitely going to help. People are going to go back to the office or find a new, or they're getting used to working from remotely from home.
Right, the resources accessible to them from
Yeah,
working from home, as far as server space goes and shit like that,
yeah,
that's got to be reinforced. That's something they got to think about. They can't just do nothing about that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Well, either way, Outriders in a good trajectory. And Marvel's Avengers is getting there, and like in
yeah,
my opinion, Outriders is fun and really good. I love that the Outrider has a plan. You beat the campaign. Here's the end game. Go at it.
right,
Marvel's Avengers is still a little muddy. Like, what do I do? Do I do
yeah,
a daily villain sector? Do I do these elite highs? Oh, don't do this anymore. Why? Because you have
mhm,
mega highs. What's a mega? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a little muddiness to Avengers.
yeah,
Well, how is it that you spend your time in this game, and what is it that you do to get to those higher levels? Because
mhm,
at the end of the day, getting to power level 150, why? Like, there's not that many
yeah.
events that need you to be at that level.
After you level cap, like main level cap,
Yeah.
once you hit level 50, I to me it was annoying that you had to grind from level 50 all the way up to level 150 for your power level.
Yeah.
That bothered me because it's like
It's arbitrary. You don't
it's
need it.
arbitrary. It's like another just make the level the level. You know what I
Especially
mean?
when you consider that an Outriders you're actually getting gear and putting it on.
Hmm.
And in Marvel's Avenger, you're getting gear that doesn't do anything for you. It just makes the number go up. That's
And
all it
we've talked
does.
about my remedy for that is like in Marvel's Avengers having slots attached to the cosmetic skins, and those cosmetic skins have the slots for all these for your builds.
Hmm.
You can make a build attached to a skin and put it away and then get another skin and then have a different build for that skin. And you could change them out, but I think that would be an awesome way for them to kind of make it matter,
Yeah.
because right now it doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
No.
Just and these skins are really expensive too, I
Oh
think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But either way, it's weird.
I'm a sucker
They're-
for the MCU skins though, dude.
No, yeah,
The MCU
definitely.
skins, it's just those are my Avengers.
But a lot of people get pissed because weren't they gonna reformat the whole skin game? Like, weren't they gonna redo that entire system? What happened to all the free skins? What
Were
happened
they?
to the? Yeah, they said. Remember how you picked up random skins and put them in the fabricator, and that would give you a
Oh
skin?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was completely went away. Like they said they're gonna rework it, but to me it just seems like they're just making skins, selling them, and not doing shit about
to
it.
keep the lights on.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, that's what they're doing, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
that player base is low. I doubt they're making that much money on skins.
Right.
For me, this feels like once everyone comes back, there
Yeah.
there's these
They're
skins
gonna
ready to
address
go.
that.
It's like, hey, did you like Avengers Endgame? Guess what? We have all the skins now.
Well, then I'm gonna make it a tax write-off, so that way I could claim it on my taxes that I kept this business alive. Till.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 8, and we hope to hear from you soon. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram, Shoot and Loot Outriders, Twitter at Shoot and Loot OP, and on TikTok, Shoot and Loot Outriders, to be notified of new episodes. Now, go fuck shit up, Outriders.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.